What is going on, friends? Welcome back to College Sports Corner. Hey, we are just about 27, 28 days away from the start of the college football season. We're going to go over media days for Big Ten and Pac-12. And what I love about media days is, besides getting to hear what the coaches say about their teams and everything, man, we are so close to college football right now. Media days, there may be, I don't think there's anybody left. I think every conference has done their media days. I know teams are starting their fall practice last week, but probably the rest of them starting this week. So we are almost there. 27, 28 days, however you want to count it. And then we will have college football back. So like I said, today we're going to go over what Big said at Big Ten and Pac-12 media days. Get started with some news here. Some suck-ass news, actually. Illinois special teams coordinator Ben Miller, he's going to miss this season to undergo cancer treatment. So prayers to him. Man, hope you get well fast, beat this thing so you can get back out on the field and get back with your friends and family. Big Ten says they are evaluating Cal, Oregon, Stanford, and Washington for possible further expansion. We'll see what happens there. Interest in a 16-team playoff expansion is growing. Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren says he wants to look at all playoff models except this crappy 4-team playoff model we have. He didn't say crappy. That's just my words because I think the 4-team playoff is stupid when you got a bunch of teams. He said FBS commissioners, all of them, did meet in Utah last month to discuss it. And it looks like more and more in favor of expanding. And a lot of them are really in favor of expanding the 16 team, which is what I think it should have always been, because we've talked about this before. You've got 130 something FBS teams. All of them have met the requirement to be FBS members. So why shouldn't they all get a chance? So 16 teams will get more teams in there. And if you go back and look at the playoff rankings from like the last week of the season throughout the last several years, if you go down through 1 through 16, yeah, we'd have some stinker games, but we would have had some damn good matchups, and we got ripped off of it because of this 4-team crap. So hopefully this happens. I personally hope it happens. I know a lot of people don't like that, but hopefully it does, and we'll have more badass playoff matchups in the future. NCAA is set to let athletes transfer more than once. Okay. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud says the football team could beat the basketball team. I don't know if that's on the football field or on the court, but anyway, sounds like he's challenging the basketball team. Maybe something will happen. Who knows? We'll see. But they could do a charity game. All the proceeds go to charity. That'd be cool. Pac-12 media days. Lincoln Riley addresses the Pat Narduzzi accusations of Riley tampering with wide receiver Jordan Addison before he entered the transfer portal. Riley says Addison entered the transfer portal. We recruited him like we do everybody else. We didn't do anything wrong. And he takes it personally when people accuse him of doing stuff that he did not do. Pat Narduzzi is really ruffling some feathers here in the last few weeks. Remember earlier he said that had they had Kenny Pickett, they would have beat the hell out of Michigan State in the Peach Bowl. So Pat Narduzzi's keeping things interesting before the season starts. A&M receiver, wide receiver, Anaya Smith, has had his DUI and gun charges dropped. He's rejoined the team. Says the alcohol levels were below the drunk level, so he got off there. And if you live here in Texas, you know that the big cities, especially like Houston down the road, Dallas, crime's just gotten way the freak out of hand. So they passed a law, you don't have to have a handgun license as long as you're an abiding citizen and you don't have any felonies or other charges on you. You're free to carry a gun without getting the proper permit now. A lot of people hate it, but hey, when crime is running like the Wild Wild West across our cities, people want to protect themselves. So he had a gun. They dropped the charge because you don't have to have a license anymore. Regardless of what you feel about it, he's back with the team now. This is kind of sad news here. Former Ohio State safety William White passed away at the age of 56. He had been battling ALS. He got diagnosed in 2016, if I remember right. Lions drafted him in the 4th round in the 88 draft. He played there 6 years, if I believe. And he finished his career with Kansas City and Atlanta. Anyway, 56 years old, that's too young. Passed away from ALS. Prayers to him and his family, his friends, and former teammates. That just sucks. And to end the news, the number 2 basketball prospect, Justin Edwards, commits to Kentucky over Tennessee. So that's your news for today. Let's go ahead and get down to business here. Big Ten media days. I like all the media days. Not the way some conferences or networks do it, Big 12. But I like the SEC, but man, I kind of like the Big Ten. I kind of like their media days the best because commissioner comes in, gives a statement, answers questions. Coaches come up there for about 15, 20 minutes, answers questions. And that doesn't give a lot of time for stupid, dumbass questions that have nothing to do with football. No time for asking about your new haircut. No time to ask about what songs you got in your jukebox in the office or any other stupid stuff like that. It's down to business. Let's go. Do it. Next coach comes on. So I really like the way the Big Ten does it. I wish other conferences would do that. Like I said, there's a lot of dumb questions at the SEC media days. I was like, what the hell has this got to do with the team coming up this next season here? I mean, what's going on here? That's got nothing to do with that crap. So, yeah, I like the way they do it, and we're going to dive into it right now. Day 1, Commissioner Kevin Warren. He says his heart is warm inside when he thinks of where the Big Ten is today. Okay. Thanked Fox and Big Ten Network for all the work they've done for the Big Ten Conference over the last few years, and I agree with that. Big Ten Network, especially, they got some great coverage of all their sports, and even their post-game and pre-game shows are good. No nonsense on there like some do. Some of these pre-game shows, they put a lot of stupid crap on there that is just dumb. I guess they're trying to gear it to a certain market, but anyway, I like the way Big Ten covers things. Big Ten has all 14 coaches back this year, so not one coach left. They formed a student athlete advisory committee for feedback from student athletes. What can make the things better? What can we do conference-wise to make things better? So that's pretty cool. He is a big proponent of NIL. Disappointed, though, in state laws. There needs to be some kind of federal regulation so it doesn't become the Wild Wild West, like it already seems like it has become the Wild Wild West. Just not as bad, but it seems like it's getting there. But he's all for regulating all that stuff. He says UCLA and USC will make the Big Ten stronger than ever. Future expansion is possible, but only for the right reasons. Last year, 10 teams went to bowl games, most ever for that conference in 1 year. I did not know that. Health, welfare, and education, most important things for the student athletes in the Big Ten Conference. College athletics is always changing, must be comfortable and embrace change. And again, 100% in support of CFP expansion. And as we said in the news, he was all about the 16-team playoff, which I think that's a good idea. Okay, so up first was Nebraska Scott Frost. And you guys remember last year, I think they were 3-9, but they're like the best 3-9 team in the country. They were just single-digit points away from winning, made a hell of a lot of mistakes. Penalties, kicking games, special teams. Had they cleaned those mistakes up, turnovers, I really think they would have been 9-3 the reverse. But Man, mistakes just killed him last year. So he hired Pitt OC Mark Whipple in offseason. Um, no opening statement, though. He just walked up there. All right, questions. He was all business, so. Um, he says he hasn't gotten the program to where he wants it yet. Okay. Added 16 players this offseason from the transfer portal. Needs the old players and the new players to gel before the season starts. Says Nebraska will be the best place in the country for NIL. Okay. I think NIL, I really don't think Nebraska, but who knows? I've never been there. There might be some multi-million-dollar companies up there in Lincoln. I don't know. Both him and athletic director Trev Alberts are working to bring Nebraska football back to its glory days. Would like to see CFP expansion. More teams will help the college game. Need to have a killer instinct to finish games. Yeah, they needed that last year because, like we said, man, those games. Needs to work on special teams. That was one of the problems last year of why they lost some games. He says the team has really good leadership. They all have chips on their shoulders, which I don't blame them. I would too. Next was Maryland. Michael Lockski. It'll be his 4th season there at the helm of the Terps. He said they got a new football facility. Very high expectations this year. The new football facility has really energized his players and the staff. So he's really looking forward to the season coming up. He says the players need to play with discipline and effort. And he loves the depth of his team. He says he's got depth all over that team. All 5 offensive line starters are back. He said that's the most improved unit in the offseason. Players buying in across the board to his plan, so that's always good. Dante Demas is expected to play the first game. He's healing well off his injury. Most of these coaches were asked about travel when UCLA and USC joined the conference. He said, yeah, it's a long flight out there to LA in a few years, but it is what it is. So, doesn't really bother him, but it bothers him. So, a lot of injuries on defense last year, he said. We were broken all over the place, but they are healing and they're getting all their experience back. Well, that's good. NIL needs guardrails, need to control it, especially when it comes to recruiting, which just about every coach I've ever seen these last few weeks has said that. So, next up was Minnesota PJ Fleck in the 6th season. He's excited with the players, all the hard work they've put in this offseason. Lots of positive things going on in the program. Very committed to this team this year, and they're very committed to each other. You guys remember that first game against Ohio State where I think most of us thought they were going to win? And Mohamed Ibrahim got hurt. Remember, he rushed for like 100 yards in the first half, and second half he got hurt, and he was out. He decided to come back. If you didn't know, he has influenced other players to come back, and he is healed well. So he'll be back. He'll be back ready to go. Yeah, it's a shame he got hurt last season in that first game because, man, he just tore up that Ohio State defense. Although Ohio State defense wasn't all that good last year, still it would have been cool to see Muhammad, what he could do the rest of the season had he not got injured. But we can get that chance this year because he is back. He's happy about USC and UCLA joining. Says he is good at hiring people way smarter than he is. So, good old PJ. Team gets to work. They have no time for silliness out there. When the whistle blows, time to get to work. All BS is off. Get to work. Brought Kirk Soraka back as his offensive coordinator. So that's good. Next, Iowa's Kirk Ferentz, who won the West Division last year. Kind of got beat down in the Big Ten championship game by Michigan, but that's the way the ball bounces. His 24th season, 33rd in total at Iowa. So that's pretty cool. I like when the coaches hang around a lot. I mean, a lot of people don't because, they're not winning enough. But Long-term coaches, I like that kind of stuff. Um, Kirk says they have quality coaches and players this year. 5 former players of his are on the staff, so that's pretty cool. Concerned about direction of college football, but at the same time, he's also eager to see where it goes. Development of players on and off the field are the most important things at Iowa. Wants players to be a part of the team and respect each other. Focus on love of the game and focus on the hard work involved will make a good football player. Lost some good players, but have great veterans coming back that he's happy with on defense. Feels good about his offense. He says they're young at running back and wide receiver, but they can work with that. Special teams lost some players, but have good ones returning at the same time. So that was it. Indiana, Tom Allen in his 6th season. He said they had their best recruiting day ever in the modern era. So that's good for them. Team's been working hard since January. They've added 13 players from the transfer portal. Their first game is on a Friday night, and they're hosting Illinois. So that's a big game they've been looking forward to. Conference game to start the season off. Primetime TV. I think it's going to be on Fox or BTN. I saw it, but I forget. He says when things don't go your way, you find out who you are. And that's true. I mean, that's true in life too. Wasn't a clear quarterback leader coming out of spring football. They're going to decide that here in the next few weeks. Leadership and production. That is the message to his team this year. Being voted last in the East motivates his team. They have a chip on their shoulder. And that does to a lot of teams. You know, people look and say, man, we're voted last. What the hell? We'll show them. And a lot of times they do. Next up was Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald. 16 seasons at the helm there at Northwestern. First game against Nebraska and Ireland. Why? I don't know. I mean, I don't know why these teams do these. I really don't know why teams do these neutral site games anyway. I mean, you're screwing both schools, taking a home game away because you know they'll probably play the next year, and especially in Ireland. I mean, well, come on, man, get the hell out of here. Anyway, there you go. First game against Nebraska, Ireland, August 27th. Highs and lows get team to draw upon both of those and use them on the field. Excited about USC and UCLA joining. He's added competitive depth to his team. Feels secondary is the biggest strength of his team right now. He tells players not about being first, but doing what is best. And running back Cam Porter's back. He missed last season with an injury. Coach Fitz is really happy about that. So we'll see what Porter can do this year. Next up, Michigan, Jim Harbaugh. 7th season at Michigan. He says guys have been hard at work since January. Best players are starting, even if veterans are knocked out of competition. Yeah, I think every coach probably agrees with that. Doesn't matter how long you've been here. If you're not the best at the position, this guy's playing. So, you got to do what's right for the team, man. Players that put in hard work last year are influencing the new players coming in this season. He says our players can execute anything under the new coordinators. And goals this season: beat Ohio State, beat Michigan State, win the Big Ten, and win the national championship. That would probably be most teams' aspirations for this season. Okay, day 2, Purdue, Jeff Brom. 9-4 last year was the most wins they've had at Purdue since 2003. So you can see how they kind of dropped off after Joe Tiller and Drew Brees left, but still a good team though. 9-4 last year, that ain't bad. A lot of teams like to be 9-4. He says they got a great group of players that are hungry. They open with Penn State on Thursday, September 1st. Primetime game. Penn State. I think Penn State's at home. They're gonna have. I think Purdue is going to have Penn State there in West Lafayette. You can look it up. I think that's where they're going to play. But hey, that's going to be a hell of a Thursday game, Big Ten conference game. Last season helped with their recruiting tremendously this year. Guys saw what Purdue did. They wanted to go there. He says they're young at wide receiver position, but have new transfers that have experience. So that should help them out. Defense side of the ball has gotten better in the offseason along with the special teams. So look like Purdue might have a good team again this year, according to what Coach Jeff Brom says. Okay, next up was Illinois' Brett Bielema. Second season this year. They went 5-7 last year. With Brett's experience as coaching and stuff, I really expected them to at least get to a bowl game their first year. I mean, probably one of the few first year coaches I expected to go to a bowl game, but I don't know. He says they have added and developed their players. Offensive line looks good. Leadership is superb between them. First game against Wyoming, August 27th, that same day that the other two teams play in Ireland. Well, Illinois is going to be playing Wyoming at home there in Champaign. You learn more through adversity is a message to his team and staff. Tough, smart, dependable is in Illinois DNA, and team has a good vibe throughout him. He likes it. So that's all for Brett Bielema. Michigan State, Mel Tucker. He says the defense has to improve. He has shifted the culture there. Attention to accountability, attention to detail, and hard work is what he's trying to install there at Michigan State. Team is extremely hungry and has a lot to prove. Goal is to win every game and bring a championship to East Lansing. Likes his transfers. They've all bought in. He's happy with that. Somebody asked about Pat Narduzzi comments. He said, I don't dwell on them. Passes the past. Next question. He tells his players, get a little bit better every day and work your butts off, and you will have success. Next up, Rutgers, Greg Schiano. They had 5 wins last season. That was the most since 2014. This second go-round, I don't know, not going as good as his first go-round at Rutgers, but you never know. Could be on its way up there. We'll see what happens in the next couple of years. He says the coaches and players have been working hard in the offseason. He says he's excited about the program and the university, all the things going on there. Excited about USC and UCLA joining. Special teams are critical to a program. The best players should be on those special teams. He said his 2004 and 2005 teams give him inspiration to get this team now to where it needs to be. Okay, yeah, some good teams. 3-way battle for quarterback going into fall camp. That'll be decided here in the next few weeks. Penn State, James Franklin was up, his 8th season. He's pleased with the summer workouts and the offseason. Small number of transfers, but he thinks they will impact the program. Depth at quarterback is superb, he says. Pleased with the O-line. They also have great depth there. Feels really good about the offensive side of the ball this year. Feels good about the defensive line, too. He said the 2 outside linebackers are set. Middle linebacker will be decided in fall camp. Likes the recruiting and the developing that's been going on in the secondary. So James Franklin's pleased with a lot of his team. We'll see how that works out this year. Wisconsin, Paul Chryst, his 7th season there. Core values they have installed at Wisconsin don't change. Going to work and being the best that you can be are the core values of Wisconsin. Hired Bobby Ingram as offensive coordinator. He says they're a better team with him. Chemistry between the defense coaches and the defensive players is great, but they still have some work to do on the skills area. Every year, trying to get an edge on the competition. West is getting tougher to be in. Teams are getting better in that part of the conference. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's lots of... Some of these reporters asked him a lot of questions about other teams and and other coaches. Like there were some, if you saw it, some reporters from certain school papers, certain, I don't know, call town papers, and they would ask every coach. I'm not going to get into any names or universities, but those reporters would ask every coach. The reporter is from College A, so whenever a coach got up there on the deck, they go, "How do you feel about the way College A has developed this year? Do you think they'll have a good year?" It didn't matter what coach it was. It's like they wanted to hear what the coach was going to say about their team. It's like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't understand why some of these reporters are allowed in there. I mean, especially when you're going to ask every coach about your college, how he thinks your college is going to do. It's like, whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions to Paul Chryst about their teams and not his. So I was like, what the hell, man? It's like, why don't you stay home and watch it on TV? Last was Ohio State's Ryan Day, third season. He hired Oklahoma State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. So he expects to be a top 10 defense this year. And yeah, their defense was a little off last year. He needs all the veteran leadership to step up. First game against Notre Dame. I think they're playing that one in Columbus. It's going to be an interesting game. I think Ohio State's probably going to win, maybe even win big, but still should be an interesting game. I'm going to watch it. First three games, you never know what you're going to get with your team. I agree with that because how many times have you watched the first week of college football and some teams lose that shouldn't, but just about every team makes mistakes out the ass, turnovers, penalties. Usually takes like the first 1, 2, and like Ryan Day says, third game to get those things cleaned up. So that's been my philosophy. If you're a so-so team and you got a big team scheduled, always do it the first week because that's probably going to have your best chance of beating them when they're trying to get all the mistakes worked out. So, yeah, I agree with what he says. The first three games, it's kind of like a free-for-all, I guess. But, yeah, he's right on that. He says he's got new guys on the offensive line. That is a focus and concern going into fall camp this week. Formed a leadership committee among the team. The players vote who heads the committee, and it changes all the time. He's got Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan all at home this year, so that'll help. Just like Harbaugh, Ohio State's goals are beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. He says 11-2 and a Rose Bowl victory is not good enough. There's probably a lot of coaches in the Big Ten and Pac-12 that would disagree with him, but he says that's not good enough for Ohio State. So, yeah, that was it for Big Ten Media Days. Now let's get to Pac-12 Media Days. I'm going to say this is the most bizarre freaking commissioner Q&A statement thing I've ever seen in my life. This is totally... He got up there, George Klickhoff got up there, made a statement. Then all of a sudden he says, I'm going to bring two other guys out to help me answer questions. I was like, get the F out of here. Are you serious? So we all wait for the stagehands come to move stuff around, bring out 3 stools so they can all sit there. Almost looked like an MTV Unplugged thing. I thought they were going to bust out guitars and stuff. And they, the whole time, somebody would ask a question. They all look at each other. You answer it? I was like, seriously? This is your Q&A here, huh? And he was quite standoffish sometimes. Somebody asked a question. He goes, yeah, well, I said something about that in my opening statement. And then somebody else asked another question, which we'll get to here in a minute. So you can read about that on the Pac-12 website. I was like, what the hell are you people doing? If this is the leadership of the Pac-12, I would not be surprised if the whole conference folds in the next couple of years. Because these 3 idiots up here, that's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, seriously? You got the national stage, no one else, and this is how, whatever. Yeah, it's your conference. You do what the hell you want, whatever. But anyway, So he got up there, back from the witness protection program, because who knows where the hell this guy's been in the last few weeks, especially with all the USC, UCLA talk. I don't know if he's hiding out in a cabin in the woods or what. It says, we have lost sight of the student athlete in today's world. Pac-12 championship game is back in Vegas this year. Disappointed in UCLA and USC leaving, but the conference will be okay when it comes to the media rights. Actively looking at expansion. Confident the 10 other schools will stay. I don't know. After what I saw that press conference before the coaches, I'd probably be looking to bolt right away and say, this guy's our leader. I don't know. Time for conferences to step up and create NIL rules, which I actually agreed with that. Something of his I agreed on. Student athletes shouldn't be treated as employees of university. Financial considerations have become the driving force in many recent decisions of athletes. Okay, I agree with you there. Money, unfortunately, is interfering in the college game. Okay, I agree with you there, I do. And then he had the other two guys get up on stage to answer questions from reporters. Like I said, it's like stage hands on a sitcom. They were moving crap around, bringing crap in. And took a good 6-7 minutes. I was like, what kind of circus is this stuff, man? Whatever. Anyway, so reporters started asking questions, and like I said, all three of them, when a question was answered, they were pointing, you want to answer? You want to answer? I was like, somebody answer the damn question. Jeez. Yeah, here was this question one of the reporters answered, what are going to be the new tiebreaker rules for the conference to decide, who's going to go play in the championship game and all that. The answer was, you can read that on our website. Okay, we got you here. Why don't you just tell us? So anyway, yeah, like I said, they seem, actually all three of them seem kind of, these two other guys, they work for the conference somehow in the conference office. I didn't see, the print was so small on the TV, I couldn't even read it. So I was like, oh, they must be conference officials. So, yeah, and they just all seem standoffish. Like, they look like they really didn't even want to be there. They're just kind of sitting here. I was like, seriously? I mean, you got your media days right here on TV. Your season's fixing to start. Throw some excitement out there, man. Come on. Gee, maybe they just don't want to work for the Pac-12 conference. That could be it. Yeah, I can't believe some of the reporters didn't yell, get these guys off stage and get the coaches on. I mean, because the reporters were looking around like, so yeah, I really can't believe somebody didn't say that. They probably would have gotten kicked out of the thing, but oh well. They all three said a lot of people involved with the USC and UCLA happy. USC and UCLA move are unhappy about it. They said, of course, alumni and probably even fans, but a lot of internal people in those two universities, staff and everything, are very unhappy about the move. So they also said, well, they're welcome to stay if they want to. Wow. Way to make them feel like they're wanted. God. Like I said, if this conference, with them at the helm, if this conference lasts another couple years, I'll be really surprised because, jeez, man. Anyway, start off with Utah's Kyle Whittingham in his 18th year. He's done a hell of a job there. Last year was a big step in the program's evolution, he says. Tells his guys it's harder to stay on top than it is to get there. Yeah, probably true. A lot of hard work goes to getting there, but staying on top, not getting knocked off the top of the mountain, yeah, that's probably tough. A lot of good players are coming back, he says. He's really happy with what's coming back with his team. Work ethic since January has been excellent. A lot of guys are stepping up, especially the tight end and receivers groups. So those guys have really put it on. He said more talented than they have ever been coming back. So I think a lot of the media out there on the West Coast is picking Utah to win the conference again. I saw they put it up on screen. I believe it was Utah, Oregon, USC, or it might have been USC second, Oregon third. But those three were in but Utah was definitely on top, and then it was Oregon or USC, whichever one. And then poor little Arizona was down at the at the bottom. So anyway, in between was just everybody else. Then Stanford's David Shaw came up. Really surprising me that Stanford hasn't been as good as they have been. Uh, Man, these last couple of years, I know COVID played a big part in stuff, but really expected Stanford to be a force again last year, but it just didn't happen. He says, though, his players are bigger, stronger, faster. Camaraderie, and leadership is great. Can't talk today. He said they stripped the program down to the studs in the offseason. Culture has changed there. Players are digging and buying in to what these coaches are selling to them. Offense, he says, is going to be deep this year. Wants to be an aggressive and attacking type defense, which that's always good to have. Thinks they are primed to make a CFP run. So, hey, you never know. Stanford is due to get back to where they were. And this year is the 40th. I think the 40th anniversary of The Game with Cal. All the bands on the field. So I don't know if they're going to do anything special for that or what, but I think they're playing at Cal Stadium too. Okay, so Arizona was up next. They were picked the last in the West Coast media poll. Jedd Fisch, his second year. He said they've had a great offseason, brought in some great transfers, building a family atmosphere there in the program. Wants the guys to play with a chip on their shoulder. Just about every coach in these media days say their players have a chip on their shoulder or they need to play that way. So I guess that's the line for this year. A lot of talent and a great culture he is installed there at Arizona. So, I mean, you can't stay on the bottom forever. So, man, if they made it to a bowl game this year, that wouldn't surprise me because eventually you're gonna have to climb out of the cell. Hate to say it, out of the cellar, but every team's gonna have to do it eventually. And maybe Arizona this year for them to finally turn things around because they've been down for a while now. Colorado's Karl Dorrell came up next. Have a very challenging schedule. It's kind of a gauntlet at the beginning. They got TCU, Air Force, Minnesota in their first three games. Now I think UCLA is after that, so they got a tough schedule. He said the guys had a really good summer workout. He was pleased with what he heard. 6 new offensive coaches on the Colorado staff. That brings a new identity and a new culture to the whole team. Want to be balanced on offense and control the line of scrimmage on the defense. You do that, you'll have a hell of a year. Feels this team is better than last year's, but this team needs to prove it. Not sure what he means by that, but I guess he'll show us. All right, Oregon was up next. Dan Lanning, first year. Of course, everybody made it clear that Oregon was playing Georgia first game of the year. They all had to bring that up, which I can understand. But ask about it once and move on and ask about the team. You don't need to be asking about 3, 4, 5 times. Dan Lanning says focusing on the investment of each day. Team is taking everything day by day. So work on what we're working on today. Next day comes, work on that. Evaluates the traits of his team daily. Toughness and sacrifice is what he wants from his team. Talent on defense is top notch. Team is eager to work each day. They come ready. I'll throw all the BS aside. They come and they are ready to work. So that's cool. Bo Nix, who transferred in, is getting along with the rest of the offense really well. So who knows? Watch Oregon and see what happens. Washington, Kalen Dober, his first year. I think he came from Fresno State. Team needs to be consistent. Team has been working hard since December. Building team and culture to bring Washington football back. Some of you younger guys out there may not know this, but I think it started in the late 70s all the way up to early 2000s. Washington was a national powerhouse. won a national championship, beat all these big teams, went to the Rose Bowl all the time. Great players came out of there. Of course, a lot of that they had the old coach Don James. I mean, that guy was an incredible coach. Then they had a few lackluster years in there, and then Rick Neuheisel came, took them back to the Rose Bowl. Chris Peterson looks like he was on his way to get them back to where they need to be, but he had to step down. So yeah, Washington, 80s and 90s. If you saw Washington on your schedule, you said, "Oh crap." They were a national powerhouse at one time. Quarterback decision will be made, he says, hopefully by the second scrimmage. It's a three-way quarterback battle right now. He loves the secondary, says he likes what he sees there. Loves the relationships that are being built on his team between all the players. So you get good chemistry and good camaraderie, you can have a heck of a team. Lincoln Riley was up next, USC. Wants to build the best culture in the country, he says. He says the team needs to block out all the outside garbage and all the outside crap going on and focus on the things that really matter. Believes he has brought in the right staff and the right players to make USC relevant once again. He said this team is remarkably close for being together for such a short time. That's big right there. If you can get your players to gel and trust and love each other in a short time, probably gonna have a hell of a team. So, yeah, I'm sure to watch them. UCLA is up next. Chip Kelly is 6th year. Told team to concentrate on this team and this season. Forget about the future. Forget about moving on to the Big Ten. Don't worry about that right now. Concentrate right now on what's going on around us. Darian Thompson Robinson, 5th year quarterback. They say he's a strong leader on the team. Guys rally around him. Uses football to teach life lessons. Teaches you how to overcome adversity. And he said he's got a great defensive coaching staff. So he's happy about that. Up next was Arizona State's Herm Edwards. 43 new players he's got on his team. But he said the unity and bond is growing there every day between all the players. He brought in veterans through the portal. He says we need great players, but we need ones that already know how to play the position and have experience at it. He says, hey, nothing wrong with freshmen. You got to have freshmen on your team. But he wanted veterans in that out of that transfer portal to help build that team. So that's what he got. He says college football is now a free agency. I agree with him. I mean, it's team and staff have been working hard since the Wisconsin game. Team does outside charity events that brings them closer together, so that's pretty cool. He said defense won't change. Wants a good offensive running game this year, though. He wants to ground and pound the ball. He said we must clean up the penalties on the other side. Must clean up penalties and be on the other side, the right side of the turnover margin. Mistakes kind of killed them last year like it killed Nebraska. So next up was Washington State's Jake Durk. He said the way they finished last season has paved the way and has kind of helped heal the fractured locker room. He said last year, in the locker room, you had everything from mad, sad, people were happy in there, people hated it in there, and he kind of got rid of all those emotions and has brought everybody together. So that's good. That should really help the team. And it's carried over to this season too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens up there in Pullman. Wants to install in his team belief in that you can do it. So there you go. See what happens up there, like I said. Next was California's Justin Wilcox. He said he brought in a lot of new guys. Not much playing experience, but the players are talented. So the team is eager to get out there and play. Offensive explosive, though. He said the Cal offensive is explosive. He's really excited about the skill positions. He said his O-line is good, but needs a little more work. And last but not least, Oregon State's Jonathan Smith. This is his 5th year. Last year was their first bowl game since 2013. Crazy. He said beating Utah and USC last year gave them confidence all across the board. Team didn't finish strong, needs to be more consistent. He said Nolan, the quarterback, has evolved and taken the next step, but there will still be a quarterback battle in camp here in the next few weeks. He says one thing he likes about coaching there is the whole community of Corvallis feels like they're all in this together. And that impacts the team when the team really sees how the community and everybody else is right there with them saying, yes, we can do it, we can do it. He says he loves all the Pac-12 coaches. He's got a great friendship with all of them. He even tried to get Cal's coach, Justin Wilcox, on the surfboard this summer. Justin Wilcox said, yeah, I don't think so. So they didn't get to surf together. All right, so that's it. That's your Big Ten Pac-12 Media Days, roundup, review, whatever. So this week, starting the conference previews, going over each team, each conference. We'll also be going over top FCS and top Division II and Division III schools because, still college football. But yeah, I think probably Thursday we'll be starting. We're going in alphabetical order. I mean, AAC, ACC, whatever comes after that. I pretty much got it all done. So we'll start that Thursday, and before you know it, we will be watching college football again on TV. Anyway, hey, hope the rest of your Sunday's good. Hope this week is good for you. Stay busy so it goes by fast and the weekend can get here again quick. And we will see you next time.